welcome to another episode of the Pixelated Sausage Show. Hi. Hi. I am, of course, your host, Mark Kuznez, and today I've got a few games to talk about. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Haven't watched much of anything. I finished Halo, and you know what? Holy shit, is that an awful show. It somehow made me dislike Halo more than I already do. I don't dislike Halo. Well, now I kind of do. I think Halo is a fine video game series. The show, though, is terrible. I cannot believe it is as bad as it is. I can't believe that with a series known for having some of the most captivating? Is that the word? I've never used captivating. Is it just whatever. Series known for having some of the best music in all of video games, which people could argue against. I think it's very, very good. It was one of the first soundtracks I bought a physical copy of. I believe it's the Halo 2. It's a fatty. It's like a digibook. But having such good music, they rarely use it. They kind of have a bit of a moment using it during the final battle sequence of the last episode, but it's still a bit muted, so you have to listen closely and say to yourself, I think they're playing the music. I think they're playing the music, everyone. They're finally doing it. What? Instead, they just have like nothing. There's 2 likes there already. At least. You're welcome, Living Large. The writing is terrible. The story isn't engrossing. The characters that fill said story, that fill this world, are the worst. Why am I spending so much time with this stupid fucking Resistance princess who has a horrible haircut? Why does she have a horrible haircut? Does anyone in any of the games have a fucking haircut that bad? Is that something that actually exists in the Halo universe, or did they just make it for this show? Why'd they do it? It's awful. It's like some 80s Euro fucking peeing trash thing that you see on someone who's always carrying a boombox and wearing pajama pants and fucking, I don't know what colors. Nintendo GAC colors. It's fucking, I don't want to spend time with her. She's the worst. She's a terrible actress. And she has her moments where she gets all emotional and they don't work. I don't care about her. I don't care about Master Chief. Why is there so much ass in this show? In the first 4 episodes, we see 3 different character asses. We see Master Chief's ass. We see Evil Lady's ass. And guess what? Fucking spoilers, I don't care. Master Chief has sex with Evil Lady. Alright, cool. Was there ever any kind of moment like that in the games? Or in the fucking extended material via books and whatnot? Does Master Chief fuck? Or just in this show? Because it fucking sucked, I'll tell you that. We have the bad guy's ass, who doesn't do anything except exist in propaganda and then show up in a fight sequence to get blown to bits. Alright, cool, bro. Love ya. Bye-bye. But why is there so much ass? And maybe not with the lady ass scene, but definitely with Master Chiefs, definitely with John, whatever. What's his last name? Who fucking cares? Definitely in his scene, and then the bad guys scene as well, I believe. They linger on the ass. They don't just show it and then move on. They show it, cut away, go back to the ass, cut away, go back to the ass. They're just ass. Sonny will love it because Sonny's an ass man. I don't know. I think Sonny's an everything man. But speaking of asses and butts, It's so bad. It's so bad. The only character I kind of thought was okay, or I at least did not mind watching her, was, I believe, Ty, the other Spartan who shows a bit of a human side coming through, which probably started after the whole artifact engagement shit and whatnot. But my God, it's so bad. The occasional battle sequence is kind of alright, but even then, there are plenty of moments in those that are super not great CG, on par with the CGI in Blade 2 at the reference, if anyone remembers that. Think of the scene in front of the daylights. What do they call them? Godlights? I forget what they call them in the movie, but the equivalent for sunlight that they fight in front of, so you only see their silhouettes and therefore are able to utilize CGI more easily, I'm sure, because it's just a bunch of silhouettes, a bunch of shadows, essentially. It's on that par. It's on that level. It's sometimes it looks pretty good, sometimes it doesn't. But the show is very, very bad. I don't understand. I would love to know from any of the, if there are any Halo fans listening or watching right now, if you've watched the show, does any of this stuff exist in the books or in the games? The lore that this show brings about? Was Master Chief kidnapped and replaced with a clone of himself, so his family would think he wasn't kidnapped? Is that how it worked with the? I mean, that's something that I didn't look at that and think, this is ridiculous. I'm just curious if that is the actual story behind Master Chief, because I don't, so much of this show, I feel pretty sure, not knowing the lore, is not the lore that the games or anything else has ever put forward. But that feels like it could be accurate. It's just so bad. It's so bad. Do I regret watching it? Of course I do. I regret every second of it. But it's a video game thing, so I figured I'm going to watch it. I'm going to buy it because I'm still on that I want to own every normal video game thing kick. I've yet to go deeper and, for instance, buy the Yule Bowl or add the Yule Bowl. Is it Yule Bowl? I haven't added any of his movies to my collection. So no Alone in the Dark, House of the Dead, Postal. He did he did a Nom one, but I can't remember what game it was for. It wasn't for Shell Shock. Was it for No, it wasn't for Shell Shock. Remember Shell Shock? I think that was what it was called, Shell Shock Vietnam, from the developers of Killzone. What was it? Turning Rabbits? I feel like it had rabbits in the title or something along those lines. Doesn't matter. Tunnel Rats? Was there a game called Tunnel Rats? Who cares? I haven't added any shit to my stuff because that stuff's just bad. I saw a list of video game movies or ranking video game movies, and I forgot Dungeon Siege. For whatever reason, I always remember Dungeon Siege, that movie, being called something else and being a Dungeons and Dragons thing. So I was surprised when that was on the list until I looked at the title and saw Dungeon Siege and like, oh, duh. So that happened. Halo's terrible though. Can I reiterate that enough? What the fuck were they thinking? The Spartan armor is so cool. It's so cool. And yet they just want to take the helmets off all the fucking time. Leave them on! You sons of bitches. And there's no joy in the show. It's such a miserable time. It's as miserable as The Last of Us, without any occasional asides for puns. There may be more haha moments in The Last of Us. I can't think of a single fucking thing in Halo where they have a little lighthearted moment. And like, oh, maybe you laugh when you see Ty in what feels like a Russian cafeteria lifting heavy things, and everyone's going, yeah, how heavy can you go? And she's like, I'm gonna lift this fucking warthog with people in it. Look how strong I am. You are strong. Go get him. It's so fucking stupid. The actor, like, why? But it did make me think, and I'd love to hear, because there are already other things in the works, I believe. Well, maybe it's still just a rumor or wishful thinking, but I believe a Gears thing is happening, and that might be Netflix. I'm not entirely sure, but I'd love to hear. Leave a comment on the YouTube video of the show of what Xbox. I was gonna say Microsoft. I don't want a Microsoft, but yeah, let's make an not a, yeah. I mean, it's still animated, but let's make a claymation series based on Clippy from Microsoft Word. Let's do it. No, Xbox. What Xbox property would you like to see a movie or show made of, and who would you like to see it made by, or what studio, what company would you like to see make it? I, when thinking about this, immediately wanted, with the success of Mario, I would love to see Xbox take one final attempt at really pushing Banjo and Kazooie hard. Real hard. I want them to put a shitload of money and resources into making an incredible game. I don't know of the studios they have who would be the best fit. My immediate jump or thought was try. I know they want to do their own thing, and you want to let them do their own thing, and you should let them do their own thing in most cases. But maybe Double Fine could make a really fun and interesting Banjo game. I don't want to go to Rare, because Rare is not the Rare once rared. And then outside of Rare, though, or Double Fine, I don't know who they have that would fit the bill exactly for a game of that ilk. But given that Nintendo has there's no competition in the more family-friendly franchise side of things. Sony gave up on that. What does Sony? I guess Sony has kind of given up because they've done nothing with Astrobot outside of the free pack-in with the PlayStation 5. There was no announcement of a sequel to the VR game. They didn't port the VR game to PSVR 2 at this point yet. Oh, okay. There was Sackboy. Are we going to get another one of those? People seem to like that. That was supposedly a good game. No Knack 3, so they don't really fuck with that shit anymore. And there are a handful of properties that Xbox has that could be made into amazing games. The one I would prefer a Viva Pinata game to Banjo, but Banjo is a mascot platformer. Banjo is still pretty beloved. He has that past, so that could, if you made a really good game, draw in a lot of Nintendo fans, potentially, and you have his relevancy, or he's more in people's awareness and young people via Smash, his existence in Smash. But go hard on making a fantastic Banjo game, and then have the studio that made the Puss in Boots sequel, have them make a Banjo movie. I think there could be something there. And there's value in going after that crowd and going after that audience instead of competing with. I think it makes a little bit more sense to try and compete with Nintendo on that front than competing with Sony on the AAA, quadruple A games are art level. In part because you can, if you have games that are a little bit more Nintendo-ish, you can say, hey, would you like games that are great for the family, but then also want some games that are super high fidelity and mature and AAA, quadruple A? We've got everything. We are the everything platform. Because Sony is the fucking, hey, you want some quality, but fucking you're going to be miserable? We got you covered, baby. We got you covered. They make non-miserable quality games too. I don't know. Maybe Ragnarok is a fucking miserable time. Maybe a whole bunch of people die and everyone's like, oh god, war. Yeah. Oh shit. But Halo's terrible. Remember when I talked about Halo? I just want to remind you, still terrible. Don't know what to watch now though. I basically watched Halo because I have nothing else. I mean, I have things to watch. I just wasn't driven to watch anything. I'm leaning towards maybe Tulsa King or giving Babylon 5 the proper attention it deserves now that there's nothing in my docket, nothing pressing to watch. I never mentioned this recently, but I did go back and try. I gave Lost one last shot. And I felt so confident I was going to get into it. But I watched an episode and a half. I was like, fuck this shit. I saw the episode where Carol, is it? The pregnant lady is freaking out and thinking people are trying to kill her. And then she gets kidnapped. And her acting was... There's so much bad acting on the show. That's compounded with not great writing. And then... new mysteries being... I don't see how that show is good outside of the way it was originally delivered in a weekly fashion, where you had that chance to talk it out with fellow watchers, you know, the water cooler moments and all that kind of shit. If you're just able to freely binge it or watch it on your own, unless you're watching it in some sort of watch party or group dynamic, it's not good. I'm sorry, people. Lost is not good. You can enjoy it because I enjoy bad things too, and bad things can be enjoyed. But Lost is a bad thing I don't enjoy, sadly. I wish I enjoyed it. And it's trashy badness, but it just doesn't work for me. So that's over and done with. Deleted it finally from the queue and erased. I don't think you can erase your history on Hulu, but I removed it from the continue watching section. But what am I going to watch after that? I don't know. What I do know is that I've been playing some games. I did finish the Smurfs mission, Valif. I think it's Valif. For Attack the Backlog. Gonna get that written up and made into an episode. That'll be coming out on Sunday, so get excited for that. But that's for that. Even though the way I'm planning to do that, you may watch that episode and have no idea how I feel about the game. So let me just say here, I enjoyed the game. It's a super pleasant, simple 3D platformer with very, very pleasant, bright, and colorful visuals that are way better than you'd ever expect from a I keep forgetting that. Well, it's not that I forget that alarm is set. It's just I don't typically record at 6 in the morning. But you're welcome. Wake up. It's 6 a.m. Beep 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 beep. I have 4 alarms. I basically have alarms set for every 6 hours of the day. So 6, 12, 6, and 12. Or we should say 6 noon, 6 midnight. That's how we do it. Where was I? Mission of Belief. Oh yeah, like the game. Super lovely visuals that are, again, way better than you'd ever expect from a licensed game of this ilk. And I said this while I streamed it, which you can watch the entire stream, my playthrough of the game, in the live archives on YouTube. So if you want to do that, and I added timestamps just to single out when the intermissions in each stream are, because I do take breaks to cook and then eat my food. So that is specifically timestamped, so you could just skip all that. I may go back and elaborate upon the timestamps and specify which mission they are, but that's not a priority at this point. That said, let me just continue with the game. Really like the game. Had a lot of fun. It feels good. It does what a 3D platformer needs to do, which is feel good and be responsive. Does all that pretty damn well. It doles out upgrades and new abilities at a pretty decent pace. The upgrade system is fine enough. I wish it maybe unlocked a little bit earlier, or your access to it. And then you're able to freely fast travel to any location you've been to via the menu, which is nice as well. I may try and 100% at some point, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that in the immediate future. I don't know I'm going to play after it. It's a good game though. I would recommend checking it out and picking it up whenever it's on sale, which is somewhat regularly. And at this point, I think it regularly drops to around $16. The regular price is $40, and then it's usually on sale for 60% off these days, because it's old enough that they do that. Solid game. Solid license game for a license that doesn't seem relevant anymore, but maybe it is. I don't know if there's a TV show. Anywho, YouTube streaming and all that, I've been pretty happy with it. I do like the changes they've done to your channel page and isolating everything, putting it in its own place and keeping it there. That's great. I think Lunchbox sent me an image that showed shorts have their own place on mobile. I think that's what the image was. I'm not sure. But even if that is the case, I don't think that doesn't change the fact that shorts still show up in your subscription feed, unless they stop doing that. Maybe they stopped because the one channel that I'm subscribed to that was putting out maybe 2 or 3 shorts a week, and I was willing to accept it because I enjoyed the rest of their content. I haven't seen a short in a week or so. They may have just stopped putting out shorts on that channel, or they're no longer coming out in subscriptions. The latter would be better, because I'm not against shorts. I just don't want them pushed to me. I would rather seek them out myself if I'm ever feeling the need or desire to watch shorts. And shorts are definitely something I'd only want to watch on my phone or maybe my iPad, but mostly just my phone if I'm out and don't want to watch a long video, I just want to watch some shorts, I don't want to watch them on my TV, which is why they annoy me when they show up in the subscription feed. But streaming on YouTube has been pretty good. I've been streaming at 18, what is it, megabytes a second? Whatever. I always forget what it is. Is it megabits? Is it megabytes? I don't remember what's a byte and what's a bit and that shit. Whatever. I stream at 18 MB. There's a P in there, right? No, it's whatever. You know what I mean when I say I stream. Just say I stream at 18. I keep it legal. All right. As opposed to the 6 max you can stream on Twitch, or 8 if you're a partner. But anyone can stream at 8. You just have to worry when it starts getting a little higher. They could black out your stream because they're like, no. And I haven't had any drop frames in any of the streams. No dropping of the stream itself where it would cut out for a little bit, which I remember happening last time I tried streaming on YouTube. I think it happened on YouTube. So that's been outside of the still continued worse discoverability on YouTube for live streams specifically. It's been a pretty pleasant experience. And someone who showed up during my Fashion Police Squad stream, Joey, that fine gentleman that they are. Joey is a very gender neutral name. So it could be a very nice lady, or it could be a very cool and hip young lady like me. I don't know. I don't know their pronoun preference or their gender identity or their sex. I don't know. All I know is that they have come to future streams. They've come to multiple streams and hung out seemingly the whole time. I'm always surprised, not when they show up and say, hey, it's very nice, but when an hour later, because they're relatively quiet, they'll chime in with something that is relevant to the conversation at hand or what's happening. And one, I like the fact that they pretty much speak only when they have something to add to a conversation or something that they want to say, as opposed to just talking, and all that. But it surprises me every time they chime in because it reminds me they're still there, and I appreciate it. It's very, very nice of them. And they're just somebody who showed up. So that's more that happens on Twitch. So I guess the discoverability ain't that bad. You know what is bad though? The games I'm going to talk about today. I'm sorry to spoil it up front. And I have, hopefully we'll see how the distraction level is with the video this time. I'm more prepared, so hopefully it won't be that bad. But I also added a little addition for the viewer. The viewer will already see it, but the listener, if you want to see what is happening with the video, I also added to the videos, the footage you see while I'm talking about the games, the name of the game at the bottom of the video, so that you know exactly what I'm talking about as I'm talking about it, in case you forget or I'm not constantly mentioning the name. So that is a little addition I added. Hopefully everything works out this go around. So let's get to it, starting with Ayre and the Crystal Comet. Ayre. What do you say? Ayre. Ayre. All I know is that I had a friend who went by the name of Sarah, and they spelled it S-A-Y-R-E. So I don't know if that means you'd say Ayre and the Crystal Comet, because they could just decide to spell it that way. I believe the street though in Chicago is Sayre, so Ayre. Ayre and the Crystal Comet. Anywho, let's check out Ayre and the Crystal Comet. Or let's talk about it. I don't want to. Yeah, I gotta remind myself. The video's just there if people want to see the game while I'm talking about it. I ain't commenting on it. But let's talk about Ayre and the Crystal Comet. So, Ayre and the Crystal Comet is a game where you take on the role of a young lady who has a dragon friend, the only dragon to survive in this world. The last living survivor, last living dragon. And from what I could tell, the goal of the game is to collect these shards that are scattered across this world. It's a very, very ugly game using a lo-fi polygonal aesthetic that I do like, but when you're using that aesthetic, you have to make up for the lo-fi nature of it in some way with a lot of color or a lot of density in the world, but there is none of that in Ayre and the let's just say Ayre. We don't need to say the whole fucking name of the game. And it is not a good looking game. And your dragon has a derpy face that I don't like looking at. Thankfully, I didn't have to look at it that much. But the goal of the game seems to just be collect these shards, bring them back to this big old shard, because this sentient shard needs you to collect all the pieces so that it could be one again, that it can be whole again. And that's it. You also are going to do a lot of racing based on looking in the menus and seeing 30 or something races that you can have your high scores for. But outside of that, there's nothing to do in the game. And what makes it even worse is that while you are stuck in this ugly world, it also performs incredibly poorly. The performance was so bad at one point that I was unsure if the game was just really, really struggling or an earthquake was happening in the game, because it started rocking harder than the boat that Sunny fucks in. It was rocking and juddering and stuttering and just being a nightmare. But it performs like crap. The animations are not great. When you're just walking, your character, her feet are kind of angled inwards and look like constant sprains. It looks like she's walking or running on sprained ankles, and it's a little bit alarming and concerning. But the game controls like crap. The flying sucks. You can jump off or really just fall off your dragon when flying on them and then glide using a glider, except the gliding in this game is more like falling than gliding. When I did that, because it wanted me to, in the opening bit as part of the tutorial or explanation of the controls and your abilities, I was just falling. I wasn't propelling forward or anything. I was just falling. And falling slowly. Which is a great song from a great movie called Once that if you haven't seen, go watch that right now. It's so good. It's such a good movie. And that's a great song. It's an Academy Award winning song. That's how good it is. And that's how not good this game is. It's very, very bad. And I believe it's made by a single individual. There could be, it's either a single individual or a small team. But it's a perfect example of a small or individual developer biting off more than they could chew, trying to do something incredibly ambitious and not having the chops to do. The thing is, as bad as the game is, and as much of a failure as it is, I don't want to put any of that on the developers. There's no doubt that they put in a lot of time and effort into the development of this game, but it just didn't come through. You know, we can't all make great products, and even those who are able to make great products, you're not always going to make one. You know, nobody bats 100%. Nobody shoots 100%. In most sports, getting a hit a third of the time is pretty fucking not basketball. That'd be fucking dog shit. If you only made a basket a third of the time, but in baseball, get a hit 1 out of every 3, pretty damn good. This is not a hit though. Ayre and the Crystal Comet, not a hit. And then the other game I played is I guess it's a remaster. They up-res visuals and they added widescreen support and 4K support, and every upgrade they've done was on the visual side and not to the gameplay or structure of the game or any of that. And that is Blade of Darkness, which the opening, when you're selecting your character, the way the camera flies between all of them, that felt very familiar. So I don't know if I played the game in its original form, but this is an action adventure game where you can take on the role of one of 4 different characters. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. I went with the Barbarian because they are the cover athlete, as you would say, for the game. And it looks okay for a game that is, I'm 20 years, I'm not sure how old it is. For an old game that has not been remade but just cleaned up and HDified, it doesn't look that bad. That's where the positives end. It plays okay, I guess, but it also suffers from some performance issues where the frame rate seems a bit unstable and not it's not a smooth experience, which shouldn't be the case given the game's original age and the fact that this is just a cleaning up of that original game and not a full remake and anything of any kind of high fidelity. The structure of it is somewhat, and I think they even make the comparison in their description. It does have a bit of a Soulsy vibe to it. Pretty bloody and gory, a lot of dismemberment, which is nice. But it's clunky to control. The tutorial explains the gameplay, but then there's a bit of confusion in menu navigation, which, for instance, I was unsure of how to access my inventory and any of that. But the performance stuff does hurt, but then the game itself was just a bit boring. It didn't excite me to play it. The combat was pretty one note, and it feels very empty with a lot of large open spaces that are just filled with a single regular enemy. So it feels like there's a lot of wasted space, and maybe that's This could be a case where the original version had an intense, heavy fog of war or something where you couldn't see that far in the distance, and it made the emptiness, that would mask the emptiness, which is something that was a problem when they did the HD releases of the Grand Theft Auto trilogy and removed any kind of fog, so you could just see in the distance, and it looked really weird. That may be something that is playing a factor here. It's okay, but it's something that I think really would only speak to fans of the original who would like to play it on modern hardware in an easy to do fashion, since playing old PC games can be very tricky if there's not a version on GOG, basically. That's the way I look at classic PC gaming. If it's not on GOG, I'm probably not gonna bother trying to get it working on my computer, because if they haven't done the work, then why the hell am I gonna do the work? I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But if you don't have any experience with the original, it's not a game that either holds up well enough to be enjoyed by anyone, and the work done here and the fact that it does run a bit rough, it's not on level with the stuff that is it Night Dive Studios does, the studio that did what was it? Is that Project? They did the Shadow Man remaster and the Enslave Power Slave Enhanced, whatever. The studio that's done a lot of the classic action games and brought them back. I think they may have been the studio that did the Turk stuff too. They do fantastic work, and I know they're doing they have an upcoming release as well, which I'm excited for. But it's not like those games. But that is Blade of Darkness. It's better than Ayre and her Continental Comet or whatever the hell it was. But it's still not good or recommendable. Sadly. But yeah, that's all I've been playing that I've had time for. So let us wrap things up. Sound good? I don't care, because that's what we're gonna do. Anywho, so that will do it for this here episode of the Pixelated Sausage Show. Once again, I am Marcus Nez. Y'all can find me pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. If you'd like to find links to all the places I call home, the site, the YouTubes, the art I make, the Patreon, all that good jazz, and more, you can do that over at pxsausage.com. So I'm pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage, and you can find pretty much everywhere I call home at pxsausage.com. Don't put that in there, just pxsausage.com. You just type in your little URL box, pxsausage.com. And that'll get you all the links. What links are in there again? You got the site, the Discord, the YouTube, the art, the Patreon, the Twitter, which it's still there, but Twitter being what it is now, I don't know if I'll be using it anymore ever again. Kind of sad, but it is what it is. And then I believe there are links to my Honolist and Letterboxd profiles, which will be more active in the near future. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, again, pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage, and links to everything at pxsausage.com. All right, well, that's gonna do it. So, as always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode. And I hope if not, you know what also I hope? If you watch Halo and enjoy it, I'm happy for you. But I fucking did not. Come on. Fucking, what? As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have both a wonderful rest of your day and a lovely weekend. So for now, adios, arrivederci, bye!
It's go time.